Hello my hungry friends! Today we're making sausage in a jar. Kiełbasa w słoiku. Welcome back friends! Today I'm gonna make my shirt justice. I'm gonna make some kiełbasa.
Did your shirt have an injustice?
Yes.
Whoa.
I'm making a super easy version though. We are not stuffing into casings. We are making kiełbasa in jars. We call it Mielonka, or you may know it as Spam, only a lot more delicious version of it. So our Spam in jars, or our Mielonka, will be done out of pork today. And I have about 2 kilos of pork, and I'm using it's pork shoulder. So I like when it has like this little fatty pieces, because that's gonna flavor our kielbasa. And I'm using pork belly, so raw bacon. And on this, as far as I'm concerned, the fattier the better. So
pork belly, not bacon.
Not bacon. If you can't find pork belly, bacon would be fine. Just find one that maybe is not super smoky or something, and use that. So to make our sausage in the jar, we're gonna have to grind my meat, and I have an attachment from our KitchenAid that grinds the meat, and I'm putting the smallest holes attachment in my grinder for the bacon part, and then there also is like a cutting knife like a cutting attachment, because it's got to cut our meat. So I'm gonna grind the bacon. When I say bacon and you see that I have raw pork belly, that means it's raw pork belly. So I'm gonna use the smaller one for the pork belly, and I'm gonna use the larger holes for the meat, just because then it will leave a little bit of the texture in our potted meat, and the fat will be a little bit kind of in between the larger pieces, and hopefully you can spread it on your bread and eat it as a sandwich. So I'm going to start by cutting the pork belly into pieces that fit. Whatever holes you have here, cut it to the size that will fit your grinder.
What do you do if you don't have a KitchenAid?
You can have your meat grinded at the butcher. Not grinded, ground. You can get a cheap hand kind of crank grinder. Those aren't very expensive. They're like $25, I think, or even less, if you don't think you're going to be using it a lot. Or you can just watch the video and not make it. So I'm gonna cut this through, and I'm gonna put it all in a large bowl, and I'm gonna also grind the garlic right with it. So I have a bowl here that my bacon will go in, my pork belly.
How much garlic are you using?
So I have, for this 2 kilograms, so close to 2 pounds of meat, I have this much garlic. And this is very, very personal. We are making the version of fresh Polish sausage, so biała kiełbasa, called white sausage in Polish, that is rich in garlic and also rich in marjoram. That's its kind of significant flavor of the fresh Polish sausage, that it doesn't get smoked. We eat it around Easter a lot. But I'm also going to make a second version. I'm going to divide my meat in half, and I'm going to do the other half with just a different variety of spices, which you can do whichever you want, and kind of personal preference. Did you have another question?
I did. You keep saying 2 kilos and 2 pounds.
Oh no, it's 2 kilos, 4 pounds.
4 pounds, 12 ounces.
Yeah.
So almost 5 pounds.
Almost 5 pounds.
Just shy of 5 pounds.
Yes, thank you for corrections.
I am here for you, baby.
Thanks. Okay, so let's grind the pork belly. With my sausage, I'm also putting the garlic right into the hopper so it gets ground up, so I don't have to mess with it later. Okay, so the bacon is through, and I am gonna slice this pork. You can use a butt, you can use a shoulder, or is butt and shoulder the same?
Same.
In Poland, we differentiate between butt and shoulder.
As you should. The term butt has nothing to do with the part it comes from. It comes with a measurement.
So again, slice to your liking. And oh yeah, so as far as proportions between how much fat to how much, I guess a little bit of the leaner meat, which when I mean meat leaner, I mean the shoulder or the butt. So this is also kind of a personal preference. And if you were to purchase this at a grocery store here in Poland, you will find that those are a little bit more fatty, so they may even go half and half of pork belly and half of kind of leaner meat. Or also they use słonina, which is just the pork fat after you cut away the pork belly, just to keep the price down. But since we're making this at home, we can afford to kind of do whatever we want, and I prefer a little bit leaner sausage. So I'm doing I have 1.5 kilograms of pork butt and 0.5 kilo of pork belly, but you can kind of do your own mixture or just kind of eyeball it. There really doesn't have to be that much science to how much you're putting in there.
That's the beautiful thing about sausage.
That's the beautiful thing about sausage.
It doesn't have to be. It's not science.
The only science thing about it is how much salt you're putting in it, which I will cover in a little bit. So I'm gonna finish slicing these, and when we come back, we'll get to grinding. I got the pork sliced into cubed, I guess. I switched the plate into the larger circle, so all there's left is to get to grinding. So this is all of our pork ground up, and I just want to show you the difference in the grind. So here on the bottom I have the meat that was ground up with the smaller holes attachment, and this is the larger one. So this will just leave us little bigger bits of meat, and we're ready. So all there's left to do is I have my jars sterilized already, jars and lids. They are ready to go. So all there's left is to put whatever spices we want in it. So here in Poland we go with the salt, we go by weight. So every kilo of meat gets 1 tablespoon of salt, and that's pretty easy calculation. So if you don't know how to calculate that, just whatever amount of meat you have, go into the Google machine and put in, it'll tell you how much kilograms that is. And you'll need 1 tablespoon per every kilo. So I have 2 here, so I'm putting 2 tablespoons of salt, and I'm not using curing salt, just regular table salt, or not regular table salt. I like to use either rock salt or sea salt that doesn't have any additives to it, like the table salt may, or with the iodine. I don't like doing that. I don't like putting iodine in my food, so I don't. And I also have ice water, about a cup. So I'm gonna add half a cup at once and then add a little bit more if I feel the meat is still not kind of moist enough. And then I have black pepper that I'm also going to be adding. And then I have marjoram, dried marjoram, and I have kminek, which in English is, do you know what this is?
Let me smell it.
I always forget.
Cumin.
Caraway seed.
Caraway seeds. I was close.
And then I have regular paprika, not spicy paprika. We call it słodka, sweet paprika. But I will add these a little bit later. At this time I can add a little bit of pepper. And this is also kind of depends on your preference. I'll go with like a tablespoon for this. It'll be nice and spicy. And then I'm gonna add half of my water, so about half a cup. And what we want to do is pretty much massage our meat. And we want it to kind of combine the fat with the more leaner bits. So we want to massage it for probably good 2-3 minutes. So I've worked this for about 3 minutes, but since I'm adding more spices, it can probably go for a little bit longer. But I'm gonna divide this in half right now, and I'm gonna do half the style of fresh Polish sausage, biała kiełbasa, and half of it I'm gonna do with the caraway seed and paprika, just to have something different. That's about half-ish. So to this, I'm gonna add some marjoram. Can you help me with marjoram, please? I have a very greasy hand.
Tell me when to make the stockings.
Okay, so do over here. Do like a tablespoon. Yeah, okay. And one more. Okay. And then I'm gonna work this just a little bit more. Are you destroying the set?
A little bit.
So this type of sausage or this type of dish, when would you eat this, right? So, and now that I've added marjoram, instantly smells like sausage to me. I mean, it already has garlic in it. That's number one smell of sausage. But once you add the marjoram, that kind of turns it into the fresh Polish sausage, biała kiełbasa, and very familiar and kind of comforting sound. So we would buy these little Spam cans when we're young teenagers and we're going camping or something. But this is great on sandwiches, and once we are through making this, I'll show you. I can eat it on bread. So I'm gonna set this aside. And for our caraway sausage, I'm gonna take some caraway seed, and I'm gonna do, for this amount of meat, probably about a teaspoon. And again, this could be a personal preference. You can do more or less, try it. You can add some spices, and then if you want to taste it, make a little meatball, fry it up on your stove, and taste it. And if you want more spices, then add a little bit more. The caraway is pretty fragrant, so I think half a teaspoon or up to a teaspoon for this amount of meat would be good enough for us. And we don't have to go completely powder. I like to leave a little, bits of caraway.
It's like you're muddling it.
Yeah, just to get the flavor out. Put it over here, and then I have paprika also personal preference. I'm gonna probably do about a teaspoon. This doesn't have a super strong flavor, so if you go a little bit more, it's not gonna really change it that much. And then also we have to obviously mix this up. Since my one hand is clean.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Why did you use ice in the water?
So for two reasons. One, to add a little bit moisture to the sausage, so it's and ice just to keep the meat cold.
Do I have to worry about overworking this ground pork?
No, you can actually, the more you work it, the better, because you want the meat to kind of be like combined. I don't know how to say this. Like in Poland, we do the beef tartare, and the meat is kind of super minced. And if you mix this enough, it'll kind of start looking like that a little bit when the fat kind of breaks up a little bit. And so give this another minute or so. All right, we are ready to put the potted into the meat. Pot the meat, potted meat. So we're gonna fill each jar with our meat up to probably 3/4 of the jar. Leave a little bit of room, and these guys will. So there's several ways of doing this here in Poland. You can, if you think you can eat this in under a month, you will fill the jars, boil the jars for about 45 minutes, and then you can store this in your fridge for a month, 6 weeks. But you can also use, I know in America there's a little bit different method for pasteurizing jarred meat products, and I know that you guys use a pressure cooker. Here in Poland, we use this method where you're cooking the jars 3 times. So you could do today, boil it put the lids on, put it in your pot and boil it for about 45 minutes. Then take the jars out, let them cool overnight, and then do the same thing 2 more times. So you would, the next day, once the jar cools completely, you would pasteurize it again for 45 minutes, and then 1 more time. So 3 times. And if you do it that way, these sausage jars can be stored at room temperature in your pantry for a very long time, years. So kind of see what you want to do with it. If you just want to keep it in the fridge and eat it within within 4 or 6 weeks, I think it's a little bit too much. Then just boil it once. If you have a pressure cooker for pasteurizing meat, go ahead and follow those instructions, or you can do the 3-day pasteurization like we do it here. But it'll be ready to eat after just the first boil. And I like using these little jars because they're kind of one portion. I know if I open a jar this size, we'll probably eat it within 1 or 2 meals.
Oh yeah.
So let's
and they're handy for picnics and stuff.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, picnic season is coming. These are good. If you mince your meat even smaller, they will be more spreadable. So you can even use it as a kind of crackers and meat kind of thing, because there'll be a little bit of fat that will form on the top of our meat there. So you can try it for your next picnic. And if you have those in your pantry, you can just open one up and take it with you. No prep time. This last one I think will be mixed a little bit of caraway, and a little bit of our marjoram biała kiełbasa. I have this much. All right.
And you could do this whole process with any kind of sausage flavorings you want, right? You could make, if you're from Wisconsin like me, you can make bratwurst jars.
Oh, sure.
You could make breakfast sausage jars.
Absolutely. Actually, I'm not going to do that because I just want to show you now what to do next with this. You don't have to watch me fill all my jars, but all I have is a pot, empty pot, and I'm just using a kitchen towel, but I know a lot of people have those kind of inserts that go on the bottom of your pot to make sure the jars aren't jumping when they're cooking. I'm sure they have a name, and I'm sure someone will tell us what it is. So all you gotta do is take your lid, and I'm just gonna take a paper towel with a little bit of vinegar. I'm all over the place again today. To clean the rims, just so we're sure that the seal is tight. So there's no fat on our seal. And then we put our lids on tight, and we'll go right into the pot. This won't fit more than 4. And then we'll take our water and we're gonna fill it to right below where our lid is on. Because if during the pasteurization, if there's a moment where there's suction, we don't want any of the water getting into inside of our jar. And so make sure to put cold water in, and we'll set this on our stove and we'll cook it so bring it up to boil. Once it starts bubbling, turn it down to medium low to low, just so you can see the bubbles rolling, but it's not over boiling or anything, and let them boil for about 45 minutes. And then once we're done boiling, I'll show you what they look like when they are just out of the bath. And then we'll show you again once they've cooled in the Our sausages in the jar have been boiling for 45 minutes. And I'm just gonna take them out, and look how much water there is, or juice, or rosu, and a little layer of fat on top. It's gonna solidify, and then we can spread it on our nice bread, crusty bread or rye bread.
I just thought of a name for these jarsages.
All right, so we're gonna let these cool, and we're gonna do the rest of them, and then we're gonna refrigerate this, and we'll show you how this looks on the sandwich. So see you then. Welcome back. We're gonna taste our sausage. It's been in the fridge overnight, and as you can see, since I did 2 different seasoning mixes, this red one over here is the one with red pepper, and I didn't have to mark these because you can tell just by looking at them. And as you can see, there's this, at first it looked like liquid that the sausage was kind of suspended in, and there's a nice layer of fat, my mouth's watering, and this liquid turned into kind of gelatin, which when you buy this stuff in a can, open the can, there's always kind of like this small layer of this gelatinized, liquidy, tasty bit on top. I happen to love it. I don't know about you.
I'm okay.
Let's taste it. Smells great, smells like sausage. And we're having breakfast, so we can taste one with whatever we're having today. And I have a boiled egg for me, which I love having for breakfast, some slices of cheese, some slices of tomato and pickle, which I will love the pickles with my sausage. And I have some nice rye bread here. So I'm going to put it on my sandwich, and I like to take a little bit of this fat that's over here on the side and put it on my bread like this. And this particular one is a little bit more hard, so kind of slice it like this. And I like the little gelatin to go on my sandwich as well. It's just flavor, full of flavor. This tastes 100 times better than the one you would get at the store. I'm gonna taste some without a pickle first. It smells awesome. Delicious. It's the spices are on point. It's salty enough. I can taste a little bit of the caraway seed in there, and definitely the garlic. It's delicious. Go to PolishYourKitchen.com and get yourself an official Polish Your Kitchen t-shirt to make these. And I hope you make these at home and share with us what you thought. Post us a comment below and let us know what you think. And we'll see you next time. Smacznego!